All right, we call the finance meeting to order. Mr. Varner?
Okay, what I'd like to do is Daphne and Shay, both y'all are on, correct? Can you hear us?
I'm here and I can hear you.
Okay, Shay, I'll turn it over to you. This is the Finance Committee, and I'll turn it over to you. If you just kind of, whatever format you want to kind of use to kind of give a high level overview for the board for those 2 months.
Okay. So this was my first time doing the financials. I want to just kind of work with you all to see if there's any adjustments or changes that you want for the reports or anything that you may want added or removed. So this is the table of contents page, and if you can go to the next sheet, it's the balance sheet. And so this is the balance sheet for the Ross Grant, the Trent Court, and for the New Bern Towers. I tried to separate it out into categories that would make sense. I didn't see anything that stood out too much when I was going through this, but I will allow if anybody have any questions about anything.
No, ma'am, not on the balance sheet.
Okay. So the next page should be, I believe, the Ross budget variance. And so pretty much what happened, looks like there was something going on. Okay. But pretty much what happened here for the Ross grant, it's pretty much expenses equal revenue. So it should always be a net income of 0. And since there wasn't entries being made on the monthly to true up the expenses, I made them this month. And so that's why the revenue was so high for this month. But for the following months, it should be about what it should be for the monthly budget. So just some corrections happened this month.
Can I ask a question so I can make sure I'm understanding how to read this properly?
Yes.
So in the first column, it shows the annual budget, which would be the year-to-date annual budget. Is that correct?
The annual budget for the entire year. Yes.
Correct. And then you have a month-to-date column. So you have that your 61,182 is the actual amount that you received month to date. Is that correct?
So this is the amount that was recorded as revenue for the month. So it should be closer to that budget amount, which is the 6,600. But because that amount wasn't being recorded each month, I had to do a true up from all the months that had not been recorded. So the other side of that entry is the accounts receivable from HUD. So pretty much the expenses happen for the month, and then those expenses are then sent to HUD to say, okay, HUD, this is what you owe us, and then the grants, and then the revenue should equal that amount as well, just to record that revenue to match those expenses.
Okay, are we talking about the Ross grant?
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm confused about, so if the actual amount of grant received, total revenue, you're saying was 61,182. And I understand you've got a budget monthly amount, I understand the variance, but then when you go to year to date, the actual is 43,461. That is what's throwing me off.
And so there was a lot of corrections that I had to make within these last 2 months. So some of that activity is going to be a little off because there probably was an amount that was creating a debit in that account.
Okay, but do you think when we see it next month, it'll be more level and straight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just confused in reading it.
Yes. It's a lot of, it's just, I was like, okay, let me at least try to get something now, and then I can go back for next month and then make those corrections and then hopefully level everything out.
Okay.
The next one should be, I believe, Trent Court. And so same thing with this one, not too many adjustments had to be made, but I did have to make a few. So does anyone have any questions on this budget comparison report for Trent Court?
I do. So again, I'm sorry, I'm going to be the person with the questions.
That's fine.
Under your year to date, the actual amount that was collected, well, I guess it's going to impact your expenses more, was 271, where your budget was 234. I really, I'm going to take, my question is really, when you have a negative number in your expenses, what are we doing about line item transfers to put money into that account? That's really my question. That's really what I should be asking, not on the revenue, but on the expense
So
side.
generally, Shay, I'm gonna jump in just for a minute. So generally what we try to do and what we would normally do going forward, we will do is generally about 6 months, 7 months into the year,
Budget revision.
we do a budget revision. We true up those line items based on expenses, based on what we projected and what really is. So we'll true that up. So what we'll do in this case, really and truly to share with you all, we'll true that up in November
Okay.
going in because we're on a 12-month fiscal year. So what we'll end up doing is generally we would have did it at 6 or 7 months. But what we'll do is we'll make those adjustments as Shay indicated. We're going through, we'll make those adjustments. You'll see those changes and we'll bring a budget revision probably in November. So that way we have that budget revision in November. You all approve that budget revision. We'll make those line item adjustments. So then when we get to the end of December, those adjustments will be there. And then the line items will.
Yeah, because some items you're not using any money and some.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so we'll true that up. And then as you all know, just to share, because of the size of our agency, our capital funds are really basically are operating offsets. So where you have an operating deficit, if you would, in your normal operating budget, because your capital funds is an operating account because we're 250 units or below. So really those funds go into our operating account. So even though if you looked at it just on budget to budget, we would have a loss or we would be over budget even overall, but because we get to utilize our capital funds to help offset, that's why we always, in essence, have a profit and it offsets it, okay?
Shay, sorry to confuse you, but I do want you to know the format is much better to read. So I appreciate your new format here.
Yes, just trying to slowly work and figure out what would work better for you all.
Yes, looks great.
So what I'm understanding is we just need to basically agree or appreciate
Yes.
the format, but it's still a work in progress.
Yes, there's
Yeah.
some things that I
Okay.
think may be
'Cause it's still-
beneficial
yeah.
that I can add in.
Mhm.
Like I was thinking of maybe adding in a 12-month report. That way you can look at the expenses and see them on a monthly basis so that like say we're looking at salaries and then each month salaries is around 5,000 and that 1 month salaries is 10,000. You'll be able to say like, okay, why is August 10,000 where consistently throughout the last few months it's been 5,000. So just trying to add in those financials in that'll allow you to see those things quickly to just kind of make those decisions or see those things that are kind of off or potentially positive things as well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Excellent.
And so I think this is the last report that I have. I think after this, I do have so this is the tower, I'm sorry. So that other page was the remaining of the Trent Core, and then the next one is for the New Bern Towers. And it's pretty much the same as the others. And I believe after this, I have the cash lead just showing where the cash is coming in and going out. And then I believe the grant summary, which I have to look a little bit more into because there looked like there may have been items that were drawn down on funds that were already pulled down. So I will work with Daphne on that going into the ELOCs to get that information. But this is the grant summary for the grants that are in the works right now, currently.
And just to piggyback on what Shay said, with Julianne's departure, we've had to get Bishop has signed off on it, but where we automatically get our subsidy on the towers, we're having to get reapprovals on our public housing funds to be able to draw those funds down.
Mhm.
So Daphne is going through that process with the HUD office to be able to do that. So again, as Shay has indicated, you may see a month or so off because we've not been able to draw down those particular funds.
Is that why 2020 is in a negative position?
No, I believe that's something that Julianne may have done before she left. I think she pulled down on the wrong account, so we have to look into that.
Okay.
I'm good.
I am too.
Good.
So I'm open to any other reports that you all may need to see. And then, like I said, I'm just working to just kind of go back all the way to January as well to just check on the general ledger to make sure things are where they need to be. And just trying to create some clear and concise reports.
Good job.
I was gonna say, that's a check.
Yes.
And so, yeah, if we can just, I feel like we just need to get these right before we ask for more reports.
Okay.
So but I do appreciate you asking.
You're welcome.
And to you all, that brings us up to the end of September. So you have both reports in this in this month's board meeting. So of what we talked about last month. So what she just went over is August. You also have September's in here. We're naturally in October. So
This is, because it says ending August 31st.
yeah, you got another report.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that gives you that.
So
Okay.
you also have the September.
So we're good through there.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So you have the September report in there.
Hooray. I know.
And in the future, I may go ahead and add in a memo. That way, if I'm unable to attend, I can at least address these points that I do see. That way, if I'm not able to attend the board meeting, I'll have those notes in there, just summarizing the activity for that month.
Okay, and also Shay, just to keep in mind, if on the particular day that we have the board meeting, if we need to have a finance meeting prior to that, that is conducive for you. So that way, at least the finance committee is aware of what you may notate before the board meeting. Because
Okay.
really, it's more of a consent item when it gets to the board meeting. If the committee reports out that they're comfortable with those things.
Okay.
So the only thing we have to do is then just, report it as a committee meeting. I think as long as, we have seven board members, so we don't have a quorum of a board, but it is a committee meeting. And so if we need to change the committee to another day, even if we do it virtually, we can do that if that prevents you on the third Monday to be able to attend the board meeting. We can still have the finance committee meeting another day.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further questions? Want to have anything else?
Not for the finance committee. Everything else will be taken up in the board meeting. But just wanted to be able to share with you what Shay did. Is they've done a good job. And again, Shay, thank you for you and Daphne, the work that y'all put in to get the August and September's done that we can present today.
But thank you all for your labor of love. No, it's painstaking, but appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
And Shay, you'll be able to jump back on at 4:30 for the board meeting?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
All right.
There's no further questions, any more comments, and that concludes the finance committee meeting.